Vietnam will walk on someone else's bridge or build its own Asian financial bridge. Throughout history, the world's major financial hubs all began with a single point of connection. London has the City. New York has Wall Street. Singapore has Marina Bay. And Vietnam could build a new bridge. A bridge not constructed from steel and concrete, but built on technology, trust, and capital flows. That is the IFC-Bridge. And where that bridge begins could very well be Thu Thiem. Why does Vietnamese money sent to India have to take a detour through the United States? IFC-Bridge, Asia's new financial bridge. There is a very simple question. Yet, if we can answer it, we will understand one of the greatest shifts in the financial world of the 21st century. That question is, why can goods travel straight from Vietnam to India, while money has to take a very long detour? Let us imagine a very common story. A Vietnamese business produces coffee in the Central Highlands. After years of brand building, they secure a contract to export a container of coffee to India. Both parties are delighted. Vietnam has the product. India has the demand. A completely natural transaction between two emerging economies. The coffee container leaves the port of Vietnam. The vessel sails straight to India. But then, something strange happens. The goods take one route, while the money takes another. The buyer in India makes the payment. The currency must be converted, passing through multiple layers of banks, passing through various intermediary systems, passing through different verification processes. And only finally does the Vietnamese enterprise receive its funds. The question then arises. In an era where a photograph can be sent from Vietnam to the United States in just a few seconds, why can a payment still take several days? To understand this, we must look back at history. For decades, the international financial system has been built on a single principle. Nations do not directly and completely trust one another. Therefore, intermediaries are needed. A bank in Vietnam, a foreign bank, a correspondent bank, a financial messaging network, and in countless international transactions, the US dollar acts as the bridge. This is not because the USD is the only currency in the world. Rather, it is because for decades, it became the most widely accepted currency in global trade. This system helped the commercial world thrive. It possesses immense advantages. However, it also creates a challenge. Every time money passes through multiple intermediary layers, costs rise, time stretches longer, and nations become increasingly dependent on infrastructures they do not directly control. Then, another revolution arrived. Not a military revolution, not a political revolution, but a technological revolution. The internet changed how humans exchange information. Smartphones changed how we make payments. Artificial intelligence changed how we process data. And a new question arises. If information can be transmitted directly, can monetary flows do the exact same thing? Because when all is said and done, money in the modern world is no longer primarily paper notes sitting inside a vault. Most money exists as data. A number in a banking system. An entry in a database. An ownership right verified by technology. If so, technically speaking, isn't transferring money simply the act of changing those numbers from one account to another? Imagine a new system. A person in Vietnam wants to send money to someone in India. Instead of passing through multiple intermediary banks, a shared platform performs three functions. First, it authenticates both the sender and the recipient. Who is sending? Who is receiving? Is the transaction legitimate? Second, it automatically verifies national compliance laws. For instance, remittance caps, anti-money laundering regulations, tax obligations, the specific legal mandates of each country, all programmed into rules that a computer can evaluate instantaneously. Third, it automatically executes the currency exchange. For example, a Vietnamese business settles the payment in Vietnamese dong. An Indian enterprise receives the funds in rupees. The system handles the conversion. No manual human steps required. No unnecessary layers of intermediaries. This is precisely the concept behind a cyber-based financial infrastructure. A bridge connecting economies. Not a bridge built of concrete, but a bridge constructed of data. Yet if it is truly that straightforward, why hasn't the world built this long ago? This brings us to the most crucial point. Because the ultimate hurdle is not technological. Computers today are sufficiently powerful. Internet networks are sufficiently fast. Algorithms are sufficiently intelligent. The true problem lies in trust and sovereignty. A nation will invariably ask, if my currency flows across an international system, who controls it? Who protects it? Who dictates the rules of the game? This is why constructing an international settlement platform is not merely a technical challenge. It is a diplomatic challenge. A legal challenge. A matter of mutual trust among sovereign states. In recent years, new frameworks have begun to surface globally. Various regions are experimenting with direct connectivity. Some focus on central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Others target retail payment integration. Others still address large-scale cross-border commercial transactions. The common denominator across these models is a fresh realization. Capital flows require modern highways, much like physical trade and digital information. And this is precisely where Vietnam's story unfolds. Vietnam represents an economy integrating at rapid speed. We possess a high volume of international trade, a strategic position at the heart of Southeast Asia, expansive economic ties with numerous nations, and an emerging generation of tech-driven enterprises. Yet the paramount question remains: should Vietnam merely remain a user of financial bridges built by others? Or can Vietnam take part in building a bridge of its own? A bridge connecting ASEAN, connecting India, a bridge serving the varied trade demands of our region. That vision could be encapsulated by a single name: IFC-Bridge, International Financial Center Bridge, an international financial bridge, originating from the Thu Thiem financial gateway. Not to replace all existing systems, not to oppose any nation, but simply to provide an additional choice. An infrastructure that enables regional economies to transact faster, operate at a lower cost, and maintain greater autonomy. Throughout history, nations with profound influence were rarely those with the most natural resources alone. Rather, they were the nations that built the infrastructure others wished to use. In ancient times, it was seaports. Later came railways. Then the internet. And in the 21st century, it may very well be digital financial bridges. Yet the question remains: can Vietnam construct such a bridge? And if so, who will be the first nations to step onto it? ASEAN? India? Or other partners searching for a new pathway of connectivity? That will be the story of our next video. The payment revolution is no longer the future, it has already begun. There is a deeply fascinating truth. Throughout human history, whenever a nation mastered the routes of goods transport, that nation held power. In times past, whichever country controlled the sea lanes, controlled global trade. Whichever country controlled the major ports, controlled the economic flow. Today, times have changed. Goods no longer travel solely by ship. Oil no longer moves exclusively through pipelines. And economic power no longer resides merely in military strength. It resides in something far more intangible. That is, the flow of money. Consider a very ordinary transaction. A Vietnamese business selling products to India. A Vietnamese tourist traveling to Thailand. A Vietnamese worker in Singapore sending money back home. A Vietnamese tech firm accepting payments from a Malaysian partner. On the surface, these appear to be minor, everyday transactions. Yet behind each one operates a monumental system. Money does not simply move from one country to another on its own. It must pass through heavy gateways. Through banks. Through payment clearance networks. Through intermediaries. Through regulations. Through multiple layers of verification. And every single one of those gateways carries a cost. For decades, The world operated on a singular model. To execute an international payment, you had to navigate a global web of intermediaries. That framework contributed immensely to world trade. That is undeniable. However, alongside the rapid evolution of technology, a fundamental question begins to emerge. If a single smartphone today can connect billions of people, if a single computer can process millions of transactions in seconds, why must cross-border money transfers remain as complex as they were decades ago? This is precisely the point where financial technology, fintech, changes the game. The core essence of a payment, in the end, is simply a verification. Person A agrees to send. Person B agrees to receive. The system verifies that the transaction is legitimate, and the computer executes the updating of numbers in the accounts. No truck hauling physical cash drives across borders. No bags of paper currency fly across oceans. Most of the time, international money is simply numbers being updated within systems that the world trusts. Thus, the larger question becomes, if technology already makes it possible, why doesn't Vietnam build such an infrastructure itself? Not to oppose anyone, not to replace the entirety of existing systems, but quite simply, why should a region of nearly 2 billion people, representing thousands of billions of USD in trade, not possess a financial bridge built by its own hands? That is the vision behind IFC-Bridge, International Financial Center Bridge, originating from the Thu Thiem Financial Gateway, a digital financial bridge, where Vietnam does not stand merely as an end user, but becomes one of the architecting nations of the infrastructure. Imagine the simplest scenario. A Vietnamese enterprise exports coffee to India. Today, when the enterprise receives payment, it must navigate multiple steps. Exchanging foreign currency, passing through intermediary banks, waiting for processing, paying transaction fees. However, within a system like IFC-Bridge the transaction could be settled inside a unified digital environment. The Vietnamese business receives value in Vietnamese dong. The Indian partner pays in rupees. The computer executes the remainder, automatically checking compliance, automatically converting currency, automatically reconciling records. Yet the most critical aspect is not speed, is not low fees. It is trust. Because money does not run on technology. Money runs on trust. A nation will only direct its capital flows into another system when they trust that that system is secure, their laws are respected, their monetary sovereignty is uncompromised, and their national interests are protected. This marks the fundamental shift in mindset when building IFC-Bridge. Vietnam does not need to declare we want to replace the world's financial system. That is not the way of a wise nation. The correct approach is we want to create an additional choice. A choice for ASEAN. A choice for India. A choice for emerging economies seeking faster, cheaper, and more sovereign trade capabilities. And this is precisely the reason why the primary partners should not be global superpowers. Rather, they should be nations sharing the same imperative needs. ASEAN first, followed by India. Because history demonstrates, the most successful systems do not always originate from the most powerful hubs. They begin where the need is greatest. The internet was not initially built for the whole world. Digital payments did not begin by replacing every bank on day one. Great revolutions ordinarily start with a small, committed group sharing mutual trust. And if one day, a Vietnamese citizen can travel across ASEAN seamlessly, a small Vietnamese business can sell goods throughout the region, a Vietnamese startup can receive international investment capital without bearing exorbitant layers of intermediary fees, then that is not merely an application. That is a new infrastructure. IFC-Bridge is not a story about an app. An app is merely the visible layer. The vital part lies underneath. A new trust. A new way to connect. A financial bridge constructed by the region. For the region. And the paramount question is not, Asterisk. Can Vietnam pull this off? Asterisk. For details on building the digital technology exchange and execution strategies. Stay tuned for upcoming videos. The real question is, in a world where nations are actively engineering their own financial corridors, will Vietnam only ever tread on the bridges built by others? Or will it begin building a bridge of its own? Vietnam once built the Golden Bridge in Da Nang for tourists, and now it can build the Golden Monetary Bridge, IFC-Bridge, originating from the Thu Thiem financial gateway, for all global financial flows.